Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good day everyone. We meet again for the second part of this lecture and we are going to look at the developing of the topic of your speech. Now, when you want to brainstorm the topic of your informative speech or even your persuasive speech, there are few aspects or few things that you may want to consider. Now, the first one is to know the gender of your audience. Now, this is very important. Why? Because sometimes, you may bring up sensitive issues towards certain genders. So by knowing that whether your audience is consists of um, all males or all females, or perhaps a combination of both, or a combination of both extreme to one gender, like males or females. Also, that you may want to consider is the racial backgrounds of your audience. Now, this is very important as well, knowing that Malaysia consists of multiracial people. It's very ethical for you to know them based on their races so that you won't bring up sensitive issues, you won't touch on sensitive matters, you won't talk about something that is very provocative towards certain cultures or certain races. The same thing that you may want to apply about their system of belief, whether they are Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, Hindus, so on and so forth. Now, in order for you to narrow down the topic, there are a few questions that you can ask yourself. Number one is, who is your audience? So we have gone through that part just now. Second, you may want to ask yourself, what is my interest or your talents or maybe your experience? I always believe that people who deliver a speech that is very close to his or her heart will deliver an effective speech because you know by heart the topic or the content of your speech. And some other consideration would be looking at the occasion of your speech. Now let us talk about the general purpose. There are basically three general purpose when one is delivering his or her speech. You are either to inform your audience or to persuade your audience or even to entertain them. But in the case of ELC590, we'll be looking at two general purposes and they are to inform and to persuade. Once you have determined the general purpose, next is for you to come up with a specific purpose. Now, a specific purpose answers the question, what do I want my audience to know by the end of my speech? So an example that I can give to you here is, at the end of my speech, I would like the audience to know or to be able to identify the three elements in wheat belly diet. Now at this point, your audience only know three elements. They may not know what are the three elements, but they know that they will be listening to three main elements of wheat belly diet. Once you are done with your specific purpose, your next step is for you to develop your central idea. Now, what is basically a central idea? It is more specific than your specific purpose. It is where in one sentence you are telling people what are the three things that you are going to talk in your speech or you are going to deliver in your speech. I give you the example. The wheat belly diet is based on number one, reducing the amount of processed foods that you eat. Number two, avoiding all processed flour. And the third one is increasing the amount of exercise you get. Now, the sentences or the phrases that are color coded, those are the three elements that I mentioned in general in the specific purpose. As you can see, central idea, narrow it down in just one complete sentence. You will be learning more on this when we look at more examples in week 3.